I'm not scared. Welcome everybody. My name is Nikki and I've been a spiritual energy coach here in the Miami area for almost 5 years. I moved from California. My intuition told me to. Logic was trying to tell me not to. I lived in California or Florida already for 12 years up in St. Pete and Clearwater, and then I went to UF for a couple of years. But I was guided to move to LA and I worked the California circuit 9 years, and now I've been back since 2019. So the topic today on shadows is probably, I feel, one of the most pivotal ways to bridge the gap between doing your inner healing work and then seeing it change your life. You ever notice that? How you know the stuff, but yet your life isn't making any changes. Like, so where's the gap? And we have lived in a world that has rejected, neglected, denied anything that didn't feel good, anything that we were ashamed of, either personally or globally or nationally. Nations have shadows. We have shadows of our race, of our gender, of our family. And what is a shadow? Who knows what shadows are? Throw out some descriptions. What do you think a shadow is?
Like the negatives of our personality.
Like what? What would you consider a shadow?
Like your ego?
The ego has lots of different ways that it behaves that we consider those behaviors the shadow. Yeah.
Like shame.
Shame, yeah. Shame is often also one of the responses to something that we don't like. So it can reflect what a shadow is. So you could consider any part of yourself that you've rejected, neglected, or denied, or decided isn't acceptable. Also, shadows can be a good thing. Like, you realize in your family that being really talented and pretty and attractive and smart was, your mom got mad at you for it. So you're like, okay, I'll dial my light down. I'm not going to be pretty or smart or talented anymore, right? So we can also create a shadow around a blessing because it didn't get us positive feedback in the world. For some reason or another, we just didn't get loved when we said this or behaved this way or had this experience. Something that we refuse to even look at. Sometimes we can have a shadow that we're aware of. Like, for instance, if as a small child you had needs and you asked your caregivers to meet your needs and they either ignored you or they shamed you or you got in trouble for having needs. A lot of people have shadows around needs. Like, okay, well, needs aren't going to get me any kind of positive feedback from the people around me, and I'm desperately needing their positive feedback. So I'm going to shove my needs behind me, pretend that I don't have any. I'm independent. I'll do it all myself. And now we live a life where it's just, I got it. Don't worry about me. We will have 50 bags of groceries on both arms. I don't need help. I'll open the door with my foot. Like, we've come to this conclusion. That's the piece. We've come to the conclusion it's not okay to have needs. It's not going to get me anything good. Therefore, I don't have them. And that becomes a fragment, you guys. Fragments are holes. Think of life, think of yourself as a bowl. And when we are in bowl form, we're getting divine supply of support and perfect health and abundance and perfect relationships and joy and puppies and kittens and chocolate and all things magical. Everything we've ever wanted is in constant flood to us. With these fragments, these conclusions, these rejected parts of us are holes. And now we have a spaghetti strainer. So when divine supply is flooding on you, it's leaking right through. And this shows up also in boundaries, conflicts of personal power. We give our power away, thinking that's going to get us positive feedback. Or we take other people's power. We don't know we're doing this. This is subconscious. And I want to introduce you to your subconscious because it's got all kinds of information and beliefs that it's playing out, and it's communicating through your body. So I'm going to invite you to stand with me, please. And do a little exercise. Come on in. Plenty of room. Okay. Your subconscious has a direct communication to your body. And we've seen with this exercise, when it wants to say yes, kind of like a pendulum, it's going to sway you forward. When it says no, it can sway you backwards. I'm going to speak with your subconscious. I invite you to close your eyes if that's comfortable. And I'm going to say something, and your subconscious is going to communicate the answer. You are in Miami, Florida. You are in Brooklyn, New York. I invite you now to think to yourself, my name is Apple. My name is Banana. Say some other things in your own mind. That is definitely a yes or definitely a no. And just notice how your body responds. Hi. Welcome. And then let's go ahead and blink your eyes back open. Have a seat. What did you notice with that?
I would stay back.
Yeah. So this is another good way to tune into what you're just knowing that you have a subconscious part of you that is under the hood and it can control things. So you can have beliefs in your subconscious that you're not aware of. But because we live in an attraction-based universe, if you have a subconscious belief that you're not worthy, that life is unfair, that women are weak, that emotions are weak, being vulnerable is a weakness, that men can't be trusted, that the government can't be trusted, that I can't be trusted. If we have the vibration of these beliefs, that's a fragment, that's a hole in the bowl, but also because your subconscious believes that, it's going to manifest in illnesses. Shadows tend to be underneath the hood of all imbalances in the body. And again, a shadow is something that we've rejected, neglected, denied. We don't want to acknowledge. We refuse to accept it. And when you look at this is such a beautiful thing because it's a full moon today. Full moon is an lighted, illuminated time of completion. It's like a full cycle. The moon is full and it's shining, the light, and it can intensify your emotions, yeah? And then the new moon, 2 weeks later, is when it's kind of a new start. It's dark. The moon's there, you can't see it. There's no sun shining on it. But it's a time of inner reflection. And we see this, the active part is the masculine energy. The full moon is like the masculine energy. The new moon is like the feminine energy. It's the deep, dark richness. It's where the feels are. And we have lived on a planet that has shamed and shunned all things feminine for a long minute. Very imbalanced. And because of that imbalance, we're seeing a lot of illnesses, we're seeing a lot of destruction of the planet, and shadows represent the feminine. Shadows represent what's uncontrollable. You can't control emotions. You can't control the feminine in her full expression. It's deep and dark, it's unknowable, it's infinite, it's untamed, right? And so we're kind of shaming these aspects of ourselves. We see a lot of shadows in the feminine principles. I have a lot of great resources that I highly recommend you look into. The School of Womanly Arts, Regina Thomasor, Mama Gina, she's a brilliant healer. She wrote a book called Pussy, and that word's going to trigger a lot of people. That's another good sign when you've got a shadow, is when a word kind of activates you, like there's something underneath that you can look at. But she talks about reclaiming the feminine power. Didn't know I was going to bring that up today, but because one, I know you're reverencing a woman right now, but we got a room full of women right now. So, but the relationship that I invite us to look at with shadows isn't so much what the shadow is, the rejected part, the needs, the having, being pretty, or having people-pleasing tendencies are all types of shadows. But I want us to look at our relationship to the shadows. So the title of this talk is Thank You, Darkness. What are the gifts of the shadows? So as I mentioned, that needs tend to be a really big shadow for a lot of people. So what are some of the gifts of having needs and owning them?
No, you have a voice.
Okay, you have a voice, yeah. Any other hits on what gifts of having needs are?
Validating.
Validating, yes, you're validating yourself. So when we start to train our brain to look at anything, whether it's a shadow or a challenging person, what are the gifts in this relationship? How can I respond to this thing that I don't want in a different way, adopting a new perspective? So for the sake of, say, for needs, if we want to talk about that, like being needy, like some of the benefits that you've mentioned over being needy, is you're aware of what you need. So you know that I have needs and they matter, so I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I attend to them. It invites others to support you, right? So the feminine is deep, dark, nourishing, rich, and feeling, and also receptive. We don't live in a world that really feels comfortable receiving help. And anyone else here feel really uncomfortable about receiving help or even asking for help? And if you do receive help, you're on the hook. You feel guilty. You feel like you're now indebted to somebody. You feel weak and vulnerable, and that just set you up to be shamed and hurt by someone who now has the upper hand. Like, we have a whole list of reasons that it's not safe to receive help, right? And so if you can flip it so that you're looking at this and saying, okay, by me welcoming the truth that as a human existing, imagine the bubble of all of creation. All of it is in here. It is all valid. It is all meant to be here. And whether you believe in God, source, spirit, the Most High, whatever you want to call the creative energy that created all that is, everything exists for a reason. It is meant to be here. We don't have to know why it's here. But knowing at the depth and core of your being that it is all valid, the most important question you ever ask, Einstein said, is whether you believe that we live in a friendly or hostile universe. The answer to that question is going to determine the veil with which you interpret all things. So asking yourself that question can bring you a very powerful transformation in how you respond to things that come to you. And as this attraction-based universe, if we have a resistance or a rejection of anything, that shadow, remember how we shoved our needs back there? Because I don't have needs and I'm going to pretend like I'm just going to do it on myself. The shadow that I've decided to use my energy to hold it behind me, I'm actually draining my energetic power because I have to hold it back there. I'm refusing part of creation, which is just going to make it grow big and stinky behind me. It's this monster now. Everyone else can see it. I can't see it because I'm over here pretending I don't have any needs. But it's back there and it's making me needy. It's radiating, it's pulsing like a lighthouse, the vibration of needs not met, needs not met, needs not met. And now I look at you as my friend, meet my needs. And if you don't, I resent you. You're hurting my feelings all the time. And that energy is now what we're pulsing out. So now we've got needs not met flickering behind me. And now I'm constantly irritated because no one's meeting my needs sufficiently. I put all of y'all on the hook because my needs aren't being met. I refuse to accept that they deserve to be met. And so now I'm ruining all my relationships because I'm not owning them, that I, as a soul on earth, deserve to have my needs met. All of us do. The plants do. The animals do. We all deserve to have our needs met. And as soon as I make that simple shift, I open up my pipeline to the divine supply, and all of my needs are going to get met. You're going to come in and you're going to want to help me. And it's a different energetic exchange. And I will overflow with gratitude that I just reciprocate it right back to you. And there's this beautiful energetic connection of exchange. But if I'm over here like, wow, you're not meeting my needs, like, that's just friction for days. You ever do that? I've been projecting this on people too, so don't feel afraid. Like, we're all doing it. We're all trying to figure this out in the dark, right? So again, the greatest thing we can do with our challenges, with our shadows, with people that we're struggling with, what is the gift in this interaction? Where am I being given an opportunity to see what's behind me that maybe I've been rejecting? It's another sign that there's a shadow that you're carrying, is if you constantly get people who are always borrowing money from you and never paying you back. You constantly have bosses who are embarrassing you and shaming you in front of others. You're constantly being cheated on. You're constantly having this, that, and the other issue. Hi, Mama Queen, birthday girl on Wednesday. What? Wednesday. Anyway, sorry. Hi. But that's another sign that there's a shadow. It's because law of attraction is going to bring you all the people and the events that matches the signal that you're sending out. And why is there a gift to that? What's the good news about that? Is like, I can't see what's behind me, bro, if I don't have a mirror in front of me. So thank you, person who's yelling at me. Not just a one-off. Like, it has to be repetitive. That's how you know there's like a pattern, right? Because if someone's just yelling at you, hey, they had a bad day. You know, it doesn't have to be this big, long, like, Freudian deep dive. But if it's a constant theme and you know what your themes are, it's showing you that that's where you have some area that you've come to a rejected piece. Now I'm going to share this with you because I think you're all going to understand, relate in some way. I realized I teach yoga, meditation, Reiki, breath work, all the things. Love, right? I love everybody and I do. When I'm driving and I'm in the fast lane, 4 lanes. I'm in the fast lane. We learned this in driver's ed, yeah? Fast lane. And there's some beloved, fabulous person doing 40 mile an hour in the fast lane. So there's a rolling roadblock because it's like everyone, the other 3 lanes will do it too. And I'm like, I'm trapped behind all of y'all who don't know how that you're supposed to be in the flow. So like in the beginning, it was ugly. I was like this internal like explosive thing. But with my meditation tools, and I'm like, love them. It's their chakra. Their driving chakra needs to be healed. It's okay. I would do my internal work, but then I started to be curious about shadows, and I'm like, why am I so triggered? This is craziness. And because you got to drive and look at them when you drive by. Give them the look. I'm like, why? Why? And I realized in my head, if you pause long enough, you'll hear the internal narrative that you have uniquely that says, who do they think they are? It's not okay to take up space. It's not okay to put your life in the way of others, to be a burden, to be in the way. Are you kidding me? Like all these things started, I hear little Nikki and her early development, which is when this conclusion was made, this fragment in my bowl that says it's not okay to disrupt other people's flow. It's only okay to be a beneficial presence. For survival needs, and that's usually where these things come from, I didn't get love if I had a need or if I was in the way, so I came to a conclusion that that's not okay. So I was taking it out on this beautiful teacher who divinely aligned with me, because I called him in, to plant me right behind him, doing 40 mile an hour, 75 zone, everyone's flipping around. I'm like, okay, thank you, teacher. And usually, and I can't say this always happens, but usually when you're like, wow, you get the message, you get the download, you come to integrate and way by embodying and digesting the message, the gift of this, you fully claim it for yourself and you're like, yes, I understand now. It's okay to be in the way. We live in a world where all potentials exist. And the only reason people like that keep coming to me is because I'm rejecting it, neglecting it, denying it, and fighting it, and coming to a conclusion that it's bad or wrong. And when you do that, you not only hook yourself to it, but it's feeding you back. So now my energy field, which is about 4 feet all around you, is now carrying the story that I have come to the conclusion with about this slow driver. So other things are going to come to me naturally, magnetically. That's the way the world works, to show me where I have these glitches in my matrix. So instead of remember we did the subconscious exercise? Instead of being in that subconscious trap, I can now funnel love and lightheartedness and acceptance. Say, okay, I welcome you, burdened people. I'm okay being a burden in the world now. I'm okay clogging the pipes. I'll keep you stuck in the corner, and I'm okay with it. Obviously, at some point, I'll let you back out again, but I don't have that resistance. You know what I'm saying? It's a much different response. My relationship to the natural phenomenon of being a burden has shifted. So now I don't get those people. Literally, they will end up, they'll be like, oh, there's my exit. And then off they go. And I'm like, lanes for days. It's like they opened up for me. My divine supply of infinite space and green lights and parking spaces opens up for you. Because again, it's your energy. And we're living in that shift, the Aquarian age, where the old timelines of the Piscean era of right versus wrong and force and manipulation and control, those are going to play out for people who are still vibing there. You know, those who still aren't wanting to look at their shadows and look at their patterns. And that's okay. Remember, it's good. We signed up for this. It's all valid. It's all part of the deal. The only reason we stay stuck in those patterns is like, why? Why do we stay in those patterns?
Afraid of change.
Because we reject them, we resist them, we deny them, we refuse to look at them. So as soon as you start to send even a thank you, if you can't love your shadows right out of the gate, and I offer more in-depth sessions on this, so I know I'm trying to put it all in 20 minutes. So see me if you want, but if you can't fully love the parts of you that are needy, the parts of you that are judgmental, that are critical, that are shaming, the parts of you that are unsavory, if you can't love those parts of you, take a couple pause moments and ask yourself why you do that. Why do I do this? And listen, because you have an inner child, I promise you, who has a very good reason. They're doing whatever they're doing to protect you. There's a beautiful tool called Internal Family Systems Parts Work, and I am new to this, and I'm a enthusiastic practitioner, it's kind of ridiculous how much I love it. If you're interested in diving deep into some of your shadows, I don't do trauma work, so we won't go into the deep, dark, serious wounds, but like surface level struggles in your life, I'm happy to work with you more on accessing these shadow parts, these parts that we've rejected, so that you can learn why they're trying to protect you in their very dysfunctional way, because it's legitimately what's happening is all these flaws and quirks that we see that we wish we could stop, and we're like judging ourselves and shaming ourselves, and I shouldn't do this and I know better. Sound familiar? No? And by responding to it that way, having that relationship with those parts makes it bigger and stronger, and it disrupts more of your story. And again, it's a attraction-based universe. It's going to bring you more of those experiences to keep you in those stories. There were a few other pieces to this that I wanted to share. Are there any comments or questions on this so far? How much time do we have? ¿Cuántos minutos? Is it, what time is it right now?
3:23.
Oh, I'm over by 3 minutes. Okay. Well, this concludes our talk on shadows. I do offer private, thank you. I do offer private sessions for a half hour. I prefer an hour to really get in there, and I do energy clearing and stuff too. So if anyone has any comments or questions, my booth is in the back corner. It's like the coolest spot. So come and see me. If you have any comments or questions, you want to go to my email list. It'd be a treat to connect with you forevermore. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Instagram.